Open Transport Tycoon Deluxe is a game about building infrastructure to move cargo from one place to another. Originally released as Transport Tycoon in 1994, it was designed and programmed by Chris Sawyer, who is probably known more for the Roller Coaster Tycoon games. OpenTTD is a fan recreation of the original game engine that tries to mimic the original game with some new features. There are 5 different menus for the game options. Yeah, 5. The game options menu is where you configure the graphic settings for screen resolution, UI and font sizes, which sound effects, and the different music libraries. This is also where you pick which currency is used in-game, which can't be changed while playing. The reason for that is probably something to do with the conversions that it can't do on the fly. The settings menu has the in-game settings. There are a lot of different options for the game and has a drop-down menu to show and hide different options. The best of which shows only the settings that are different from the default settings. All the menus have some overlap with the settings menu, which is good because this is where you can set your default preferences or tweak things when actually playing. AI settings show how many different AI opponents are in the next new game. You can also choose which AIs are available and how long the interval between them starting the game is. There aren't any AIs in the game by default, you need to download them from the online content menu. The same is also true for custom maps and scenarios. The new GRF settings is where you modify your downloaded content. This is basically a built-in mod manager that allows you to tweak load order and other things. Downloading and updating mods is easy as selecting and hitting the download button. The only option missing is removing unwanted mods. You need to go digging around the game files to remove them. New game is where you set up a randomly generated map. The map size can be between 64 by 64 tiles up to 4000 by 4000 tiles. You have 4 different map types to choose from. Temperate is the standard map, Subarctic has snow on the map, and towns in the snow need food to grow. Subtropic is the desert-themed map, and the towns in the desert need food and water to grow. Finally, there's the Toyland map, which has everything themed around candy and toys. Then you have options for how many towns, industries, the geography of the map, and the starting date. The user interface for the game takes some getting used to. The big thing that always throws me for a loop is the location to the close button on the windows. It's in the top left corner. Another problem is I feel like there isn't a good text size. On the company vehicle menu, when looking at the names of vehicles or the vehicle's profit, it's hard to read. There's also no in-game way to rebind keys, but there is a config file that you need to go digging for. There are a lot of menus, but that's normal for this type of game, and I do find myself lost looking for specific things every once in a while. Moving on to the actual gameplay, you are put in control of the company to transport things. What you transport and where it goes depends on which map you've chosen. You need to build the infrastructure to move goods and people over land, sea, and air. The easiest of the 4 methods of transportation to set up are the buses and trucks. They only need a proper station and directions in addition to the depot that all vehicles need. The planes and boats are a bit different because they both have problems with long distances. Boats will get lost if you don't build buoys and set the route correctly. Planes will crash if told to fly long distances or just randomly, really. Trains are the most difficult to set up and get working because of the track, signals, and the length of trains and stations. What signals you use depends on how you build your infrastructure, and having trains traveling the wrong way can block long stretches of railway or cause trains to crash. Delivering cargo large distances via train is one of the best and most reliable ways to make money. As for moving people, buses are good for moving them around cities, and planes are good for moving passengers from one city to another. Once you have some of the basic infrastructure set up and running, the rest of the game is mostly automated at that point. The things that you need to look out for is traffic jams, changes in production, finding ways to grow your network, and updating or replacing vehicles as time goes on. As for problems with the gameplay, the biggest problem is that there's no in-game tutorial by default. The one that you find by searching for tutorials in the mod section does a pretty good job of teaching the basics about everything but trains. There is a tutorial section in the main menu of the mobile version of the game, but it just opens up a YouTube video. My opinion of the mobile version is that it's playable. It's exactly the same game, it's just that I don't like the mobile controls. Once you start making money, it's almost impossible to start losing it. The easiest way to go bankrupt in the game is right at the start by spending too much getting your first train network set up. It's very easy to create problems for yourself without realizing it. Gridlock and other traffic problems can sneak up on you and make your day miserable. I'm still not completely sure about how you get the producing industries to grow. I am aware that you need to move a percentage of goods from them in a month to get them to grow, but sometimes it just feels like they enter a death spiral of losing production, and there's nothing you can do to stop them. The default starting date is 1950. Getting to 2050 takes a while. I'd compare it to about the length of a game of Civilization. Starting on a map too early means that you could have no vehicles available, and there's absolutely no warning for when that is, and the later you start, the more expensive things are due to inflation. Games with no AI can feel empty, but games with others can end up feeling messy. There is a way to buy land rights, but you can only buy one tile at a time. It's expensive and really tedious to do so. The only good use of this is for expanding existing train stations. Graphically, I prefer the blocky pixel look of the base graphics set provides. I found 3 other graphic sets in the download menu. 2 of them make the vehicles and buildings and stuff look way too smooth for my taste. And the last one is just the base set, but at night. The buildings and cities have nice little details like blinking lights and other things that make the towns feel more alive than they are. The camera is locked in place, unlike Roller Coaster Tycoon, where you can rotate the map. But to make up for this, the transparency settings can completely remove trees and other things blocking the view. The music for the base game is alright, and there's an option to download different sets of music if you don't like it. My only problem with the music is that you can't mix and match from different music sets. I also have a problem when switching to the modern motion music on the main menu. The first song starts out real chunky, but that could just be my computer. As for the sound effects, there's a different set that you can download, but I don't think it's any better than the base sound effects. The sound effects are what you would expect to hear and nothing too out of the ordinary. This is an easy game to recommend, especially at the low price of free. This may not be the most exciting game ever made, but it is pretty satisfying just watching the trains go about their business, and there is some challenge in playing it, even if it is just trying to fix a mistake you made hours beforehand.